All right. So today we're going to cover a common problem with Oldsmobiles. I've had a couple of comments in some of my vids about, oh yeah, I don't like Oldsmobile because they always get clogged oil drain back holes, blah, 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 blew up my engine, all this and that. So I'm going to show you how you can check and how to prevent and even possibly cure your oil drain back issues. Okay, hold on, because I'm going to have to stop and go, so you know it. So first thing I wanted to show you was that if you do the valve cover gasket properly, even if you do have a lot of oil in the valve covers, it doesn't have to leak all over everything and get on your headers and start smoking and, gag all the riders in your car, all that kind of stuff. You don't have to worry about that, and I'll show you how to do that later. But that's where we're at. I don't need to tell you how to take the wires off. You know how to do that. So we'll take the PCV valve off, the M.E. Wagner Performance PCV valve, and then I'll take the valve cover off. Hold on. All right, so this is what it looks like after I pop the valve cover off. And if you look carefully at the valve cover gasket, you can tell that it was sealed real good on top of the head. Otherwise, you'd see like these dark spots here where oil has gotten into it. Blah blah blah. Anyway. So yeah, I'll show you how to do that later. Let me move this out of the way. Yeah, I should have shut the camera off. Oh well, we'll do that later. Okay, so this is what you want to have in any Oldsmobile engine. Now, this is not a race car, but this is kind of a fun car. And you'll see the oil return hole there. If you can handle all the potty mouth, Useful Entertainment has a video with better quality pictures of this hole than I have. But you'll see here I have roller tip rockers with these Chevy style steel balls underneath the poly locks. And what that does is that prevents your aluminum trunnions that all stock Oldsmobiles had after, I believe, 65 or something like that. And what they do is they wear against the steel rockers, and all that aluminum goop runs down here, tries to run down that hole. And I know I got something right there. I'm going to see what that is in a second. What is that? I'll figure out what that is. So hold on a second. I'm going to go show you a picture of what you'll probably see if you pull the valve covers off. Hold on. All right, so this is what you'll have in your stock Oldsmobile. You'll see the two individual rocker arms with the aluminum bridge, the special bolts that go in between. Be very careful if you're using this. Those things can break, and you can still get them, but if you break one, then, just kind of a pain. Plus, you shouldn't be using those anyway. I'll explain in a second. Well, actually, I already did, because what happens is the aluminum will ride up and down in the slot where the trunnion pushes down against the rocker arm, and ever so slightly it grinds or moves this aluminum dust off of the trunnions. These little things here that are bolted down, that wears away, and all that junk drops down into the return area for the cylinder head, and it clogs up that hole. And heaven help you if one of those aluminum things breaks, because it'll fall in that hole and clog up. And that hole looks pretty big. It's probably 9/16, but it narrows down significantly. I'll show you some cylinder head gaskets to show you that. Hold on. So I wanted to show you this oil drain back hole. See that hole in the upper corner? That's not it. That's actually the dowel that holds or maybe that's a bolt hole, whatever. But then underneath there, that's where the oil return hole is. And that one may be perfect from the factory, I don't know. But every other cylinder head gasket I've ever used, that hole is either too small, or a portion of that hole or a portion of the gasket slides up into the hole, and it partially blocks the drain back, which is absolutely nuts, because you want as much oil flowing back as possible. And if you look, the tilt of the engine is backwards, so only that rear oil hole is working. And if the oil ever does really fill up and it goes in the front, then everything is just soaked in oil, and it's going to be a mess. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to have some more for you in just a sec. Hold on. So here's a piece of 3/8 silicone. I tried to push it through that hole and it doesn't go. So again, that hole that's right there is pretty large, but it necks down a lot, and the hole travels almost horizontally into the top of the engine block, and then it drains into the intake valley, and then it drains back into the crankcase. So it needs a lot of help, and if that gasket is sticking up at all, you're in trouble. So what I always do is I grind off a little bit of that gasket, and when you set the gasket on top of the engine block, you'll see if you look closely on just about every head gasket I've ever seen, I've had that problem. So here's a piece of 1/4-inch vinyl or nylon tubing or whatever, and I couldn't get that through either. It got in there a couple inches, but it either hit the lip where the head bolts on down in the block or what. So yeah, bad design on Oldsmobile, shame on them. I've never tried to port it, but you can mess around a little bit if you have the engine apart. Make sure you look very carefully. You know, you can at least help it a little bit, but make sure that gasket is not sticking up, because that'll start catching some of that aluminum slurry if you're using a stock setup. Or if you have a stock setup and you want to clean that out, maybe you could hook up something like this 1/4-inch line and hook it up to your shop vac and suck some of that crap out of there. And then get a comp cams kit. It looks just like this, except it doesn't have the poly locks. Get the roller tip rockers and use the poly locks, because the nuts they give you are good for a couple of turns and then they'll loosen up, and if they back off, now you got other issues. Okay, so give me a minute. I'm going to check this out. I haven't had this valve cover off for like 5 years, so I'm not even going to change that gasket, I don't think, because it looks pretty good. Okay, give me a minute. So I found this little blue gasket, and it looks like a little teeny tiny spring. What in the world? What is that? I need help. Well, I don't know. Maybe I found something here, maybe I didn't. But the only thing that I can see that got in there, I wonder if my high performance M.E. Wagner adjustable PCV valve is falling apart. I don't know. I'm going to take it out. But anyway, I wanted to show you how to correctly put a new set of intake or valve cover gaskets on there. Actually, any manifold, whether it be or gasket rather, any oil pan or water pump, whatever. I'll show you the only right way to do it so you won't have any leaks. Hold on. So if you want to get some leak-free gaskets, valve covers, oil pan, whatever, I did it in just 3 because I'm not doing this. I got to figure out what that little springy thing is. But put some studs. I just got some all thread. In this case, it's 1/4-inch, and I cut them a couple inches, and put them in every hole. And then take your gasket out of the package. Put some sealer on the valve cover side, stick it down there, and then put the valve cover on top of that. Glue it on there. Don't glue it onto the intake or the cylinder head. See, I'm getting all frustrated now because of my stupid spring. Yeah, and then just glue that down. Take the studs out, and then put the regular screws back on, and you'll be all set. All right, hope this is informative. If nothing else, I found a spring, so maybe it's good to just check everything out once in a while. All right, bye-bye now.